Let's be honest about something. Sometimes the path back to music doesn't go through a gentle awakening or a gradual transition. Sometimes it goes through our deepest valleys. Sometimes life has to knock us down before we finally listen to what our hearts have been trying to tell us. 3 years ago, I had spine surgery. The surgery was successful, but I woke up with a paralyzed vocal cord. As a singer and songwriter, losing my voice was terrifying, but I wasn't alone in facing unexpected challenges. Listen to Adassa, the voice of Dolores in Disney's Encanto.
I was paralyzed from the neck down. I drove myself there and then I couldn't barely put an X on a piece of paper. Why did this have to happen to me? Like, why this opportunity since I was like 9 years old, my dream, and then all of a sudden I find myself in this situation.
But here's what I learned from every single one of these stories. Sometimes our greatest challenges become our greatest teachers. Sometimes we have to lose our voice to find it. Welcome to a very special episode of Second Verse, the podcast for indie artists and late bloomers who believe their most meaningful music is still ahead. I'm your host, Becky Boyland, and today we're celebrating something incredible: the completion of Season 1 and the extraordinary artists and creatives who've shared their stories with us. When I started this podcast, I knew I was creating a show about musicians who returned to music after life took them somewhere else. But what I discovered was something much deeper. These aren't comeback stories. They're coming home stories. Stories of people who finally give themselves permission to become who they were always meant to be. In this episode, we're going to revisit the most powerful moments from Season 1, weave together the threads that connect all these journeys, and hopefully inspire you to take next steps in your own second verse. If you've been here since episode 1, thank you. If you're just joining, welcome. And I can't wait for you to go back and catch up on these amazing stories for yourself. But first, let me share what might be the most important thing any guest has said to me this season.
You never know what the universe has planned for you. But if it's whispering that you need to do something, you need to pick up that microphone, or you need to write lyrics, or you need to go and hunt your guitar down, you do it. Just do it. Do it, definitely.
That's Kelly Hastings, mother of 6, semi-finalist on The Voice UK, who found her way back to music after raising her family. And if you're listening right now and feeling that whisper Kelly talked about, this episode is especially for you. Every single guest I've spoken with had a moment when they heard that whisper Kelly talked about. For some, it was subtle. For others, it was life shouting at them to pay attention. But here's what I've learned. There is no expiration date on dreams. Rick Molloy worked in tech for 20 years before giving his notice in December 2020 to focus on music full-time. He now owns a custom guitar shop and recording studio. Cindy Slee was a nurse for 15 years until an MS diagnosis led her back to music, not as a setback, but as what she calls her front hustle. Bob Strachan, a pastor from Scotland, rediscovered songwriting during lockdown and has since gone viral and traveled internationally. But maybe you're thinking, that's great for them, but I'm too old, or I've waited too long, or I don't have enough experience. If that's you, I need you to hear this from Tia Hoffer, former FBI agent turned music producer.
Usually people at the end of our lives don't regret things we've done. We regret the things we haven't done, which I think is so true. Like, start now. Start right away. If there's any interest that you have in doing it, jump in. Know that it's not going to be perfect, but not starting is what you'll regret if you don't.
Tia didn't start music production until after retiring from the FBI. She was a federal agent working on some of the most intense cases you can imagine. And now she's creating music that heals and connects people. If she can make that transition, what's really stopping you? But I get it. How many of us were told to get real jobs first, to be practical, to have something to fall back on? Nearly every guest shared a version of this story, being encouraged to pursue stable careers while keeping music on the side. Greg Watts worked in banking for years before becoming a successful music publisher. Cindy Slee became a nurse because that's what her family encouraged. Tia Hoffer went into psychology and then law enforcement. Chris Evans built a career writing software before writing songs. The list goes on. But here's what Bob Strachan taught me about timing and destiny in the most beautiful Scottish wisdom I've ever heard.
We have a phrase in Scotland that says, "What's for you will no go by you." What's for you will not go by you. If it's meant to be, it'll be just watch for those opportunities and grab them when they come.
What's for you will not go by you. I've been thinking about that phrase for months now. It doesn't mean we sit back and wait for things to happen. It means we stay ready. We keep developing our skills, we build our community, and when the moment comes, and it will come, we're prepared to step into it. In fact, Greg Watts gave himself 1 year to make it in music. At the end of that year, when he was ready to go back to the bank, the opportunity he'd been working toward finally appeared. Just 3 months more, he and his wife said, but it only took 1 more month. That was more than 20 years ago, and he never went back to banking. But let's be honest about something. Sometimes the path back to music doesn't go through a gentle awakening or a gradual transition. Sometimes it goes through our deepest valleys. Sometimes life has to knock us down before we finally listen to what our hearts have been trying to tell us. 3 years ago, I had spine surgery to address chronic pain I'd lived with for over 2 decades. The surgery was successful, but I woke up with a paralyzed vocal cord. As a singer and songwriter, losing my voice was terrifying. For 6 weeks, I could barely speak above a whisper. But I wasn't alone in facing unexpected challenges. Listen to Adassa, the voice of Dolores in Disney's Encanto, describing what happened right as she was about to land the role of a lifetime.
I was paralyzed from the neck down. I drove myself there and then I couldn't barely put an X on a piece of paper. Why did this have to happen to me? Like, why this opportunity since I was like 9 years old, my dream? And then all of a sudden I find myself in this situation. So that's what took a turn. In the middle of like the biggest audition of my life, in the middle of trying to make this leap of just faith growth that I was having, I found myself completely unable to even put 2 words together.
Adassa was literally paralyzed from the neck down just weeks before she was supposed to record for Encanto. She thought she was dying. She had 7 children depending on her, and this dream she'd held since childhood seemed to be slipping away just as it was becoming real. Bob Strachan lost his father when he was 8 years old. It's heartbreaking enough for a parent to pass away at a young age, but the loss of Bob's father due to a contaminated blood scandal that persists to this day robbed his family of support and understanding. For decades, he carried grief and anger that affected every part of his life. These aren't just career setbacks or minor obstacles. These are the kind of challenges that can make you question everything: your faith, your purpose, your future. But here's what I learned from every single one of these stories, including my own. Sometimes our greatest challenges become our greatest teachers. Sometimes we have to lose our voice to find it. Adassa recovered and recorded Encanto in what she describes as a miracle. But more than that, she discovered a deeper purpose in her music and a renewed appreciation for every note that she could sing. I recovered too. But the journey taught me new techniques and gave me a different relationship with my voice, one built on gratitude rather than taking it for granted. And Bob, he found healing through writing songs to his father, finally saying the goodbye he never got to say as a child. Music was even a type of physical therapy for Alfredo Paz, who had challenges with fine motor skills after being born premature. Learning to play organ at age 11 or 12 was as healing as it was musically inspiring. But the healing power of music extends beyond personal recovery. Listen to Kelly Hastings on why she writes.
For me, that's a really important part for my journey because it offers me healing. And more than that, I believe that, well, what if my words were to heal somebody else? What if they were to hear them and it means something to them? And I think that's what drives me, the healing power of music.
Jack Marchant experienced this firsthand. He and rapper Giorgio Music created a demo song about mental health called Healing in Jack's bedroom studio. They put it out expecting maybe 15 streams. Instead, it got 300,000 streams and became the foundation of a community for people struggling with mental health. That's the power we're talking about. Music that doesn't just heal the creator, but creates ripples of healing that reach people we may never meet. We'll be back with more after this break. Second Verse is sponsored by Attitude Creativity. Many indie music artists don't have a website that grows their audience and reflects who they are, so they get lost in the noise of streaming. Marketing and brand messaging with Attitude Creativity helps boost your brand and build a site that hits all the right notes. You want to be an artist who stands out from the crowd, and to do that, you need your music to be heard. If your website doesn't reflect who you are or make an impact, you feel like a singer who's been handed a pair of drumsticks instead of a mic. You deserve a website and brand messaging you can be proud of, and that doesn't take time away from your music. As an artist like you, I understand how overwhelming websites and marketing can be. And that's why, putting on my other creative hat, I put my decades of marketing and development experience to work for you. You'll no longer have to apologize for your website. You'll look and feel like a professional with a custom story branded website you can be proud of. And right now, you can get a head start with my free downloadable EPK blueprint and start building your electronic press kit to promote your music. Head to attitudecreativity.com/blueprint to get your copy. That's Attitude, ATTITUDE, creativity.com/blueprint. Second Verse is brought to you by Singing Straw. Oh, you caught me in the middle of a vocal warm-up. This is one of my favorite ways to wake up my vocal cords before a singing session, or even a nice long conversation for the Second Verse podcast. It's the Singing Straw, a simple but powerful tool for straw phonation, a vocal technique that promotes healthy vocal cord closure in a gentle but mighty way to increase range and identify areas to work on. For me, it was key to regaining my voice after vocal cord paralysis. But you don't have to wait until a vocal injury to use it. In fact, I recommend that you don't. Make the Singing Straw part of your daily routine, and you'll be amazed what your voice can do. Check it out at secondversepod.com/singing straw. One of the most beautiful discoveries of this season has been how music brings us home to our people. Nearly every guest talked about finding their tribe, that community of people who just get it. Jack Marchant built an entire community around mental health awareness through music. Bob Strachan discovered that most of his closest friends and collaborators share his neurodivergence. Adassa and her husband Gabriel created the production music masterclass community that has supported hundreds of musicians. Rose Calkins found songwriters and visual artists to collaborate with during the pandemic. But Greg Watts said something that really stuck with me about finding your creative tribe.
When you put yourself amongst other dreamers, things start to happen, and songwriters are genuine because they've fought from an early age of writing songs and having their songs appear on TV or on stage or whatever. Sometimes we need realistic people as well, but I think dreaming is powerful and we should keep on doing it.
When you put yourself amongst other dreamers, things start to happen. That's not just beautiful, it's practical advice. The people who understand your creative drive, who don't think you're crazy for wanting to write songs or start a band at 40 or 60, who celebrate your small wins and encourage you through the setbacks, those are your people. Rick Molloy also taught me something profound about community versus isolation. When he was in corporate environments surrounded by other dreamers and creative people, opportunities emerged naturally. After he retired, he had to be particularly intentional about maintaining creativity in community.
As I got into teaching the workshops, the whole point was like, well, people can pay me for 2 hours of labor to set up their guitar, or we can do it together. It's my time. It's the same amount of time, so it doesn't cost more for them. And I get to hang out for 2 hours with someone who's interested in guitars, and they get to learn really practical, valuable skills. And the music studio is the same way. Of course, I will record bands and that kind of thing, but also I'm working on having community days where we just invite folks together and we make music that everybody likes. And it's not about anything other than trying to make good music in a day.
We need our people. We need the ones who speak our language, who understand why we stay up till 2 a.m. working on a song, who get excited about a perfect harmony or a lyric that captures exactly what we're feeling. And sometimes that tribe includes mentors who see potential we don't even know we have. Greg Watts has built his entire career around developing other songwriters, helping them see possibilities they couldn't see for themselves.
The biggest thing about mentorship is having someone you're accountable to. The truth is, once you have a support network, you can actually then achieve loads of things.
Accountability, support, someone who's walked the path ahead of you and can help you navigate the challenges that they've already figured out. Jack Marchant talked about how working with a mentor for just 4 months transformed the quality of his production work in ways that would have taken him years to achieve on his own. But here's what I love about mentorship. It's not just about technique or business knowledge. It's about possibility. It's about someone looking at you and saying, yes, you can do this. I believe in you. Now let me show you how. Adassa and Gabriel don't just teach production techniques. They create a community where people support each other's dreams. Greg doesn't just help people write better songs. He helps them see themselves as professional songwriters. That's the kind of mentorship that changes lives. So how do you actually begin? How do you move from dreaming about your second verse to living it? Every one of these artists started exactly where you are right now, with a choice to begin. Rick Molloy started by going to open mics with a friend. Tia Hoffer started with 5-minute practice sessions. Phil Lovell started by dedicating time to regularly attending retreats to hone his songwriting skills. Chris Evans built a professional home studio while still working in software. None of them waited until they felt ready. None of them waited until they had all the answers. They just started. Listen to Rick on the power of showing up.
You have to be willing to work on it and just do a little bit better. And when the world knocks you down, you just get back up and keep going. Showing up, being consistent, and being aware.
Showing up, being consistent, being aware. Rick went from his first open mic in February 2024 to booking paid 3-hour gigs by the end of the year. Not because he was perfect, but because he kept showing up. Tia has a philosophy that I think about all the time. 5 minutes matter. You don't need to carve out hours every day. 5 minutes of consistent practice, 5 minutes of writing, 5 minutes of learning. It adds up to something significant over time. And here's the secret that every successful guest shared in their own way. It doesn't have to be perfect to be powerful. Adassa's second verse breakthrough song was literally recorded for fun in their studio. They never expected it to change their lives, but it connected with exactly the right people at exactly the right time, without chasing virality or vanity metrics.
It's not about how many, it's about the who. What do I mean with that? The who is watching, the who that is looking at your stuff or listening to it and goes, this is what I'm looking for, and then goes out of their way to get a hold of you. So make sure that your social media has your handles, has a way for you to be able to be gotten a hold of, because you never know who's listening.
That song that feels too personal to share might be exactly what someone needs to hear. That performance that feels imperfect to you might be the one that moves someone to tears. That demo you recorded in your bedroom might be the one that opens doors you never even knew existed. You never know who's listening. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is connection. The goal is authenticity. The goal is showing up as yourself and trusting that your voice, your actual voice, your artistic voice, your unique perspective matters. So here's what I want you to know as we wrap up season 1 of Second Verse. After all these conversations with artists, producers, mentors, and creatives from around the world, after hearing stories of triumph and struggle, of healing and hope, of community and courage, I've learned these 3 fundamental truths. First, it's never too late. Your timeline is your own. Whether you're 25 or 65, whether you've been away from music for 2 years or 20, whether you're just starting to dream about this or you've been planning for years, your moment is now if you choose it to be. Second, your story is your strength. What you've been through, the path you've walked, the challenges you've overcome, these aren't obstacles to your music career. They're the foundation of it. They give you something unique to offer the world and to connect with others who need to hear about your journey. Third, community changes everything. You don't have to do this alone. In fact, you can't do this alone. The artists who thrive are the ones who find their people, who build relationships, who support others, and allow themselves to be supported. Listen one more time to Kelly Hastings on the transformation that's possible when you finally choose yourself.
If I go back even 5 years, I was a totally different person then to what I am now. And had it not have been taking that step and investing in my future and my children's future as well, by investing in me, I'm investing in them, I'm setting them examples. And if I hadn't have done that, I wouldn't be where I am now, and I wouldn't be this kind of person, and I wouldn't have the outlook that I've got.
By investing in yourself, you're investing in everyone around you. You're setting an example. You're showing others what's possible. You're adding your voice to the choir of people who refuse to let their dreams remain dreams. So what's your next step? Maybe it's picking up that guitar that's been sitting in the corner. Maybe it's signing up for that songwriting class. Maybe it's booking that first open mic. Maybe it's just giving yourself permission to call yourself a musician. Whatever it is, start there. Start small if you need to, but as David Rosen says.
So, you just never know where something's going to go unless you start. You got to just start.
Season 2 of Second Verse is coming soon with more incredible artists and more inspiring stories. But first, I want to hear from you. Share your second verse story with us. Tell us what dream you're pursuing or are ready to pursue. Tag at Second Verse Pod on social media, or even send an audio message on the website, secondversepod.com/share your story. Because here's the truth. Your second verse isn't just about you. It's about everyone who needs to hear your voice, see your courage, and be reminded that it's never too late to become who you were meant to be. So whether you're releasing your 10th album or just dusting off that guitar for the first time in years, your creativity counts. It heals, it connects, and it matters. Thank you for joining me for Season 1. Thank you to every guest who trusted me with their story. And thank you for being part of this community of dreamers and believers and people who refuse to give up on the music inside them. Please share Second Verse with your creative friends. Whether or not they're musicians, we can all use a little inspiration. And when you like, subscribe, and share, you help others find the podcast and make it possible for the podcast to keep going. I wanted to close the season with a song I wrote called What You Mean to Me. It's a thank you to the people who supported me when I wasn't sure I had a voice, to the creative community I've found along the way, and today I'm dedicating it to you, the listener who's made this season what it is. So stick around to listen, and until next time, keep chasing your second verse. I can't wait to hear what you create.
Pretty sure it's no secret, and let me take just a minute. Good words can't be left unsaid. Who am I without you? I fell hard, no parachute. You caught my heart, I must confess. Oh, don't be shy. You rearranged my life. Oh, you need to know what you mean to me. You need to know what you mean to me. You need to know what you mean to me. You need to know what you mean to me. You're just what the doc ordered, and you patched me up inside. You avoid the attention, but it's worth the mention, so I'm shining a spotlight. Come on now, don't be shy. You know you rearrange my life. Oh, 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 oh. You need to know what you mean to me. You need to know what you mean to me. Oh, 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 oh. You need to know what you mean to me. You need to know what you mean to me. Oh, sweetheart, don't be shy. You know you rearranged my life. Oh, 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 oh. You need to know what you mean to me. You need to know what you mean to me. Oh, 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 oh. You need to know what you mean to me. You need to know what you mean to me. Oh, 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 oh. You need to know what you mean to me. You need to know what you mean to me. Oh, 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 oh. You need to know what you mean to me. You need to know what you mean to me.